Hi everyone, I'm Rupert Lead, I'm one of the Extinction Rebellion spokespeople. I'm here to introduce someone who... Can you hear me? Oh yes, you've got that. To introduce someone who's a real hero of the movement. This is somebody who is fresh out the cells. He's just been in the cells for 19 hours, having been released after taking more heroic, non-violent direct action for us. There are now almost 1,100 people who have been arrested as part of this rebellion. That's sort of applause and boos at the same time. That we're looking to get in the Guinness Book of Records with it. Anyway, look, enough of me. Over to Donica McCarthy.
Thank you, Rupert, and thank you everybody who's come here today. I've just had 19 hours meditation by the kind generosity of the Metropolitan Police. But I'm only one of 1,100 people who have assembled the most extraordinary movement Britain has seen for decades. The idea that 1,000 people are queuing up and saying to the police, please arrest me, because I care, because we care about what's happening to our precious earth. And it's quite extraordinary. When I came out of the police station in Plumstead this afternoon, a few hours ago, I checked my Twitter, as you do, and I stole the most extraordinary, crass tweet from our Mayor, Sadiq Khan. His message to Extinction Rebellion was, not I hear you, not we must make London zero carbon by 2025, not I'm going to set up a citizens' assembly immediately to see how London can be zero carbon, not I'm going to work with the media and the government to get the message across to Londoners about the crisis. His message was, let's go back to business as usual. Well, I know Extinction Rebellion and every soul that is assembled here today, we're not going back to business as usual. Because we know what business as usual means. Many of the spokespersons for Extinction Rebellion this week have been played with silly things about tactics. Are you putting people off? You should be protesting about China, you should be protesting about India. Well, I've got a message to Sadiq Khan. Business as usual in London is carbon destructive. So I tell you what business as usual in London is. It's a government that is supporting fossil fuel expansion. The government is advocating fracking across the UK. The government is funding and subsidising new oil fields off the coast of Scotland. The government is funding and subsidising new gas fields off the coast of Scotland. And our government is actually proposing, extraordinarily, a new coal field in the United Kingdom. That is what business as usual. We need an end to that now. When the government says to us, we hear you, and they do this, we know it's rubbish. And so Extinction Rebellion is much more necessary than it ever was. Yes! Another thing that's business as usual in London, as I heard many people in the Citizens' Assembly this afternoon say, is the financial industry. London is the core of one of the 3 biggest sources of funding for fossil fuel across the planet. So when they say London and Britain is only responsible for 1 or 2% of the global carbon footprint, it's nonsense. London is a source of billions of pounds of funding going to the fossil fuel industry. So you remember, if you've got an account with Barclays, if your charity has an account with Barclays, if your business has an account with Barclays, if your employer has an account with Barclays, you are colluding with climate change, climate damage. So please, every single one of us have a responsibility on this issue. Your bank, change your banks and send the message to your friends and neighbours and colleagues. Get your money out of climate change. Can I hear you say yes? Can I hear you say yes? One more. Okay, thank you. And the third area where London is the source of this climate destructive is our oil industry. Shell and BP are investing billions, not just in existing fossil fuels, but in finding more fossil fuels. The fossil fuel industry in the next 10 years is proposing to invest $1 trillion, not in existing fossil fuels, but in finding more fossil fuels. When we know we can't burn even a fifth of what we have already got. $1 trillion to be invested in new fossil fuels. Why in God's name is that legal? Why aren't the people who are funding that $1 trillion not in jail and not the 1,000 Exor heroes? So I want us to hear loud and clear from Extinction Rebellion and every single one of you. Let's make investment in fossil fuels a criminal offence of the highest order. So when I say, I want to say something and you say it, let's criminalise fossil fuel investment. Let's criminalise fossil fuel investment.
Let's criminalise fossil fuel investment.
Come on, this is a rebellion, louder!
Let's criminalise fossil fuel investment.
Viva la revolution! Thank you. But aside from business as usual, to put an end to that with the oil industry and the financial of the government, something else I want to put an end to business as usual. And that's our relationship with the police. One of the most extraordinary sentences I heard this week was by somebody I didn't expect it from. A guy called Ken Marsh. Ken Marsh is the chair of the Police Federation. And on Radio 4 this week he said, you guys, us, the Extinction Rebellion, are making things very, very difficult for the police.
Yes!
And do you know how we are making it very, very difficult for the police? Because he said we were very, very passive. Are they really saying they want us to be violent? But what it means, it's amazing. Every single person I've spoken to who's been arrested has the same story. They say, again and again the police say, we're with you. Again and again the police say, thank you. Again and again the police said, I've got kids. Remember, we're here for the police's planet as well. We're here for the police's kids as well. And this is not to forget that there's been many, many, many appalling actions by the police to people of vulnerability, of colour, and gay people across London over the last decades. It's not to deny that. But let me say from our heart, if we come from peace and stick with it, and stick with it, and stick with it, I assure you, like Gandhi, like the suffragettes, like Luther King, this movement of Extinction Rebellion will triumph.
Whose police?
Our police!
Whose police?
Our police!
Whose police?
Our police!
Whose police?
Our police!
Donica, back on me. Take your long trick.
Lie in Parliament. The power lies in our media. The person who controls the messenger controls the power. When Rupert Murdoch was asked, why are you against the European Union? He said, and I quote, and you look it up, he said, when I go to Downing Street, they do what I tell them. When I go to Brussels, they pay no attention. There are 4 tax haven offshore media billionaires who own a huge proportion of the British media. Rupert Murdoch, Lord Rothermere and the Barclay brothers. And I assure you, all 4 of them oppose climate action. The Sun runs pro-fracking campaigns. The Daily Mail demanded the government end home efficiency programmes, and the Telegraph demanded no onshore wind. They got what they asked for, no matter the fact that millions and millions and millions of us support the opposite. So what I message to you today is, the media is hugely important, and I include the liberal media on that. When The Guardian announced it was going to move from fossil fuel, from plastic wrappers to potato starch wrappers, I thought that's good story. And I thought, hang on a sec, let's look at the rest of The Guardian. So I pulled the paper out to pieces. And what did I got? I got 1 page on the plastic wrapper. There were 2 pages of advertising on high carbon meat, beef. There was 2 pages of high carbon car adverts. There were 7 pages of high carbon cruise adverts. There were 27 pages of high carbon flight adverts. And there was a 30-page insert on high carbon long haul holidays. We are being subliminally brainwashed into thinking high carbon lifestyles are normal and that it's politically, socially normalised to do it. Well, I'm telling you, high carbon lifestyles that destroy our kids' planets are totally and utterly abnormal. And we've got to pick up this messaging, whether it's on billboards, on The Guardian, on TfL's black billboards, etc. You've got to start spraying Extinction Rebellion on high carbon adverts. So as a last chant I'd like to hear you say, let me say it, high carbon lifestyles are abnormal. 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 Thank you. I'll leave you with one last message. Extinction Rebellion says the power is within each and every single one of you. Take it from this rebellion across to the corners of Britain and the world. I love you. Thank you.
Donica McCarthy! Extinction! 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 Alright, okay, we've got to knock off here for a minute, unfortunately. They've got to change the batteries. Now, before we knock off, can I just hear a quick cheer for these brilliant guys who've been doing this sound system and everything? They'll be back in a little while when they change the batteries. So, one more chant before we go. Extinction! 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 Thank you!